Hey, this is Rob Swanson with the Real Estate Mogul Show. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Rob Swanson back here with another Real Estate Mogul Show. We're going to put one in the books here today, and we're going to take conversation a little different direction with the crew we got in the studio. We are going to be talking about why do operators, guys and gals that are closing 50, 100, 200 plus deals a year, why are they switching to FreedomSoft? What is it about FreedomSoft that makes a big operator make the move? And we've recently, and this came pretty much after the first of the year with FreedomSoft, we released a brand new product layout that we call our leads inbox with active conversations. And what it did is it brought front and center the most recent thing that's happening inside of your leads list, in your prospecting and lead campaigns, top of mind, front and center all the time. It eliminates people losing stuff. And so we released Leads Inbox with active conversations right about after the first of the year, and we did quite a bit of promotion around it, and we've been talking about it a lot, and people are paying attention. And when they hear the layout change and how it works and how it functions and how it's different than any of the other CRMs out in the space, people's ears perk up. And it's because myself as a real estate operator that have run large teams to small teams to large teams, I understand what an operator needs. I understand what somebody at the highest level needs. And so, there's a lot of real estate investors, newer people that come into FreedomSoft and they get started with our start plans. And, we've had and have our largest users are larger real estate funds that have, as many as 50, 60 acquisitions people working in 2 physical offices, doing deals in 8 different markets across the country. So the ability for FreedomSoft to stretch the rubber band and go from the new investor, John and Sally Smith down the street, who are going to start their journey of real estate investing, on up to a large corporate fund doing deals across the country, there's the ability to grow as your business grows. Well, it was the leads inbox and the active conversations that sort of made the waves and sort of got people paying attention. And as a result, we've started onboarding large operators more recently, guys and gals that have oftentimes told their team, their COO or their operations manager, or maybe their executive assistant, hey, go figure this thing out. Go figure out if it's as good as we hear it is, now that we're kind of like hearing about it in the operator experienced investor world, and make a recommendation. Should we make the switch? And if we do, what is that going to look like? And so what we decided to do for today's show is just break down some of the top reasons that operators, guys and gals doing lots of deals every month with sizable teams, where details, where uptime, where structure really matters. What is it that's got people moving to FreedomSoft? And I think with that, I'm going to drop it over to Mike. And I think, Mike, let's just tackle it this way. I've got some ideas that I think I want us to talk about. I think you jotted down. I asked you to jot down some ideas before we jumped in here. Let's just go back and forth. And why don't you kick us off? Why are big operators making the move to FreedomSoft? What are they seeing? What are they looking for? What's drawing them in?
Yeah, first one that I'm going to talk about is ease of transition. So my experience has been with talking to operators, probably the very first question that comes out of their mouth, hey, Mike, how easy would it be to switch over? And my answer to that is it's very simple. We break this basically down into 3 parts, and these are very easy to understand. Number one, we prep FreedomSoft account, the FreedomSoft account for your data, your business, your operation. And operations vary, right? Leads are coming from different places. So there's a little bit of setup and prep work inside of the FreedomSoft account. That becomes step one. Step two becomes get your data out of wherever it's at, because operators are using technology at different levels, but they're using technology to some degree. All right. So number two is get the data out, right? And then step three is get the data into FreedomSoft. Yep. And it really is that simple. And we've done this over and over and over again. We have an accelerator program, which a lot of our operators opt into, where our team gets involved, gets really involved, actually, and works with the operator to say, hey, what does this need to look like? Where are your leads currently coming from? How many team members do you have? How many phone numbers are you bringing over via the porting process between phone carriers? That kind of thing. And the FreedomSoft team goes into your FreedomSoft account and starts to build this up. You know, you've got lists in, you know, X number of markets. You've got these number of campaigns. You know, work with the phone carriers to get the numbers ported over, whatever it takes to get those on board. And so all that said, it can really be just about as hands-off as you need it to. Obviously, our team, through the accelerator program, needs some direction on, you know, what you currently have set up and team members and that kind of thing. But the ease of transition makes it very, very simple. And so we've done this.
I think that's been a cool one.
Yeah.
I think it's a great one. And I like that was kind of the number one, is just the ease of switching. Because, I mean, in the seat that you sit, Mike, I mean, you take the tier two, like the high-level real estate investors that have FreedomSoft tier two tech questions, like that stuff rolls up to you because you know the software so well, you know how operators function, and you've seen inside of real estate investors, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of real estate investors' businesses, and they all run things a little bit different.
They do, for sure.
And that's kind of that's a unique play, and it's one of the things that I jotted down on my little list, and I'm going to get to it in a minute. But it's what makes switching simple, is because if you're a brand new real estate investor and you're just looking for something ready to run out of the box, basically plug it in. The batteries are charged and you can go. But if you're an experienced operator with your own, you know, your own paperwork, your own documents, your own marketing templates, your own automation sequences, your own task sequences, your own, all of the stuff, your own custom fields, all of the things that you have in your business, that, Mike, that's what you're talking about with our accelerator program. We explore and extract that out of your team. We then build the receptacle in FreedomSoft to accept all of that customization, and then our team goes to work and makes the move. I mean, we just onboarded Mike, a gentleman and his team last week, doing 100+ deals a year, all of the things that we just talked about, a unique process to their business. Yep. I don't know, 12, 15 team members, permission control, like how they access it. Like, we helped them set the whole thing up. Literally on day one of making the switch, they were already active in their account. And by about the third day, their team was working leads. Their team was sending out offers and paperwork. Their team was functional in the switch. And so they kind of stayed with their old system through that transition. But it took about 3 days to where we saw, all right, look at the team is already adopting this new thing, and the feedback has been awesome. So that's yep. Cool that you started there.
Yep.
I'm going to start. Let me drop one in. Number two. This was one that I jotted on my notes. Team permissions, and really team management. And, you know, I think about team management, especially from an operator's perspective. You want to have relatively simple transparency into what your team is doing and how they're doing it. But you also want structure and systems built in such a way that you kind of force your team to follow the processes and procedures and do things right, because you know that that's what works. And so sort of this ability in a lot of software to take the gates and pull them wide, and then kind of ratchet it back in and bring it narrow. And there's a balance sometimes, and that balance is oftentimes an all or nothing thing. And so you can kind of go wide and let everybody kind of just run their own little race wherever, or you can kind of like really tighten it down and everybody's in this single lane that they got to walk down. Well, there's that piece in the middle where in some areas of the software, you want to give a little bit of flexibility. In other areas of the software, you want to dial things in and make sure that things are done correctly. And so team permissions is a huge deal for operators, because with team permissions inside of FreedomSoft, you can lock down or open up all different areas of the software. So if you have team members that don't need to have access to a certain part of the software, you lock that down. If you have other team members that you want to have access to certain things, you open it up. And so it's very permission controlled at the sort of suite level of FreedomSoft. What suites do you want to have? Do you want people to have access to? But then it's permission controlled based on lists and based on campaigns and based on workspaces, all the way down through and to your dispositions team on a property level. So you've got a deal that has flowed through the channels, hit your dispositions dashboard, your properties dashboard, and some teams run that where it's wide open, and everything on the dispo dashboard is open to all of the dispositions guys or gals. Other teams assign certain deals to certain people. And so you have the ability in FreedomSoft, and this is the piece that I wanted people to get, is team management with permission control. You have a ton of flexibility, and literally more flexibility and more ability to customize the control than really what I've seen in any other software out there. And that's not just me saying that as the creator, but the teams that we're onboarding, that's the feedback they're giving us, which is why I put it on the thing. And then in team management, it's that permission control, it's the task management, and it's the automation inside of a team management perspective that I think really sets us apart. So my number one, number two on the list that we jotted here, Mike, was team management. Number three.
It's key before I go to number three, because we were just talking a few minutes ago. There are no two teams that work exactly alike. There's similarities, but they're not exactly the same. So the ability to control who can see what becomes paramount to getting it set up. So
huge.
My next one is ease of tracking, and you kind of set me up for it. You mentioned in FreedomSoft there are what we call lists, campaigns, and workspaces. I'm going to define them each really quick. They're not complicated. A list is where you store prospects, and prospects are people you're marketing to. Use the example of direct mail, right? I go into FreedomSoft and I build a list of 1,000 vacant property owners in Denver. At that point in time, I have 1,000 prospects. I don't have 1,000 leads. I have 1,000 prospects. They live in a list, all right? Campaigns in FreedomSoft are where leads are captured. Doesn't matter where the lead's coming from. Direct mail lead, it's going to get captured in a campaign. Website, somebody fills out your web form, captured in a campaign. Pay-per-click, whatever you're doing, it gets captured in a campaign. Now we have a very clear line between what's a lead and what's a prospect. A prospect is somebody that hasn't responded to your marketing yet, all right? A lead is somebody that has. And so we can very clearly, because they're both important, but they get treated different, right? My activity towards a prospect is, what's my next round of marketing? My activity towards a lead is, how soon can we get somebody on the team on the phone with this person to see if we have a motivated seller or not?
Right.
All right. So they're both important, but they get treated different. And then we go into workspaces, which when it comes to operators with teams, a workspace is where you can say, okay, I just brought Sharon onto the team. Let's set up a workspace for Sharon. Well, what is Sharon going to be doing? I can, if I want to, I can drive leads straight into a workspace. I could drive leads into a campaign and distribute to a workspace, right? If Karen is cold calling, I could distribute prospects into a workspace. There's really a lot of flexibility here, and this is part of the accelerator program. When we ask the operator, how does your team function? How does your team operate? And then FreedomSoft is built accordingly, because you have a lot of flexibility in and out of a workspace. But what this allows is, When Sharon comes in for the day and logs in, Sharon just needs to go to Sharon's workspace, and everything that Sharon should be interested is right sitting on the workspace.
That's right.
She doesn't have to wonder, hey, are there new leads that come in that I have to go get, or what am I paying attention to? None of that has to take place. You can even, as leads get generated through a status or through some automation in the account, you could round robin a lead over to Sharon. You could do it via like a status update. So what happens is, and what's fun about it, and the conversations I like getting involved in is, ask the operator, how does your team operate? What are the systems? How does a prospect to a lead, how does this move between teams? How do you determine who gets what? And then once we know that, we say, great, let's go in here and build a little bit of automation, and let's do some lead distribution the way your team is accustomed to working. And that's where those workspaces come in.
Yep.
Keeps everybody on task and focused on the records they should be focused on.
Yeah, that's a cool one too, because lead managers love it. So what's neat about what you just described is you can set the structure up the way teams operate, and then you can create it where a lead manager has control, manual control over the distribution of leads, or you can give the lead manager a status update that triggers automation that then handles the lead distribution. And so it's a really cool process that can be set up the way a team really likes it. And then what's kind of neat is if a team says, we think we like it this way, and then 10 days in, they're like, we kind of do want to add that automation, or we kind of want to take the automation off or change it like this or that. Very, very simple to change what is set up. So you're never locked in to something long-term. It's very easy to change. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, Mike, on this, and you started it with ease of tracking, but what's really important for an operator to see, your lists are your storehouses for prospects. It's kind of the records bucket. Campaigns track the performance of your marketing. And so direct mail, cold calling, bandit signs, online leads, paid ads, SEO, all of the various things that you have and do are tracked. And so when a record that lives in a list responds to marketing, you get to see, hey, this list produced. This marketing campaign generated the lead. And then if you distribute that lead out to the workspace, you get to see, and this acquisitions person closed the deal. And so now there's a transparency, a pipeline that you can see what list is performing the best, what campaigns are performing the best, and what team members are performing the best. It's the transparency because of the structure that operators love.
Yeah, let me say this really quick. Let's use a quick example. Let's say I pulled my list of 1,000 vacant owners in Denver, sent out direct mail. I generated a lead from a guy named John Doe, right? So now at that moment in time, we've got a lead in a campaign, but John still lives in the original list, right? So those records get linked together. Now I can see that, hey, this lead in this campaign was generated by this list that I sent direct mail to in Denver.
Yep.
Then let's say I distributed that to Sharon's workspace. Sharon works that lead and closes the deal, and the company makes 10 grand.
Yeah.
That 10 grand will show up in Sharon's workspace. That 10 grand will show up in the campaign where the lead was captured, and that 10 grand will show up back in the original list.
Yeah.
So the operator can tell, how is Sharon doing with the leads and records that she's been given? How is this campaign performing?
Yep.
And how is this vacant list in Denver, Colorado performing?
Exactly.
All that gets tracked.
Yeah, it's super cool, which I didn't even write this down on my list, and I'm not even going to go down the rabbit hole, but the duplicate search and the way you just described, a list is built, direct mail was sent, somebody calls in on a phone number. Well, that creates an inbound lead, and it has to be easily merged back to the record of the list. There's a way to tie that together. most systems that I've seen out there make that fairly cumbersome or don't even really allow you to do it. In FreedomSoft, it's pretty easy. There's a couple things. There's merge records and find duplicates. And those two things, I'm not even going to add them to my number of things on the list, but for operators that are trying to run a clean operation, the find duplicates and then clean up, we have automation built around cleanup and merging, and then the individual record merge records is the thing that with a click ties everything together, and people just love it. If they've never experienced it, they love it the first time they experience it. Okay, my number 4. So my number 2, but number 4 on the things that we jotted down, Mike, before we clicked record.
Yep.
Seamless lead generation, and in particular, sequence-based direct mail built into the system. So, seamless lead generation. You know, you talked earlier, a moment ago, about when somebody switches and they can build a list inside of FreedomSoft, but they can also import all of their existing records into FreedomSoft. So when they're switching in, there's an import process that sort of queues all of the records, the prospects, the leads, and gets things seeded into the right structure. What I wanted to talk about then is, okay, now we've got the records that are in there from wherever you've been doing business before, one system, 5 softwares, whatever. It's now inside of FreedomSoft. And you start the process of marketing, and you use the marketing tools inside of FreedomSoft to trigger activity. Then you say, okay, I've got a team here that I've got to feed with leads. How am I going to go build new lists? Well, you can still bring leads from other places in, import them into your list, or you can use Lead Finder and you can go build fully custom or pre-built lists inside of FreedomSoft and update them every single month and just add the new records from the data search right to your list. And it becomes so seamless and so simple to manage updated data inside of your business, just because it's all built into one thing. And the thing with the seamless lead generation, there's the list component of that's just simple. And then, you know, regardless of all of the tools, whether it's the click-to-call dialer or whether it's some of the other marketing tools, the online websites, web forms, which a side note, people can take the FreedomSoft web forms and put them on any website that's out there. So if they've got a website in another system that's ranking well, but they want to flow those online leads into their CRM and trigger it into the leads inbox and trigger automation, the web form can be taken and put on any website out there, any WordPress website, any Carrot website, anything. You can take a FreedomSoft web form and put it out there. The thing people love is the direct mail sequence based system, are the Mail Now system. Think about an email autoresponder that is automated drip for direct mail, and templates and sequences and automation all built into the direct mail. You build the list, you import the list, you grab a group of records, you assign it to a sequence, and you click send mail. And that quickly you could have those prospects on a 5, 6, 8 year-long automated dripping between a postcard and a letter and a letter with an attached offer and then back to a postcard. And it's all automated and based on status updates and lead capture. That automation stops. It removes records from your sequence lists. It's just such a killer, cool system. How many people, Mike, let me ask this question. How many people have ever sent direct mail and they get a stack of postcards back like this, and they're like, oh, what should we do with these? Oh, we got to scan them in. VA's got to go through them then, and they take the addresses and they find them in the CRM and they tag them in some way, and then they try to do some advanced research. Well, with the FreedomSoft Mail Now system, that's automated. So you launch your direct mail and it's running, And if a postcard or a letter gets rejected for whatever reason and it's returned, it automatically shows up in the returned box of your mail report, and you just click on it, and that's all the mail that's been returned. Already assigned, already linked inside of your CRM. You don't have to do anything other than now select, update the status, or assign a task to a VA that says, hey, dig in deeper. This mail got returned. What's going on? Killer stuff.
Yep. And I had I mean, obviously automation's a big word, but I had a guy tell me recently, I was explaining our multi-step sequence direct mail, and he goes, you mean to tell me that, and he had a list of 10,000 prospects that he was rolling into FreedomSoft.
Yep.
He goes, you mean to tell me that I can update these, click a few buttons, and just hit them with a postcard every 30 days on autopilot? And so it was a big deal for him because the automation component of it really set it up one time, let the sequence do what it does, and it just goes. So,
and people are sitting there thinking, yeah, but what's the price? Super competitive. Our price is the same as everybody else out there. It's competitive. And so the power of the automation, the power of the sequence-based system, the power of the lead and prospect management that is built into the mail system inside of FreedomSoft is killer. And honestly, we should charge more, but we don't, because we want you to use it and we want you to get results. Hey friends, Rob Swanson here. Let me jump in and talk to you really quick about the Real Estate Mogul Academy. You might be sitting back listening to this and saying, how do I get in proximity with these guys? How do I have these kind of conversations, water cooler, hallway conversations every single day to help me go where I want to go in my real estate investing business? Whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro trying to elevate and go to that next step, the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be for you. What we'd like to do is offer you a free strategy session where someone from my team will jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and how the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be the right fit for you. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it, go to mogulmembers.com, fill out your name and your contact information, and let's jump on the phone and let's chat. Let's see if we can help you go where you want to go this year. All right, Mike, next one. What is it?
Yeah, one of every operator's favorite words, customization. So all throughout FreedomSoft, here's what you'll find. You'll find that there are default fields for sellers. There are default fields for buyers. There are default fields for contacts, all that stuff, right, that just comes with it. But then if your business has a certain data point or something that you like to track for sellers, for buyers, for contacts, you go to the custom field section. You can set up anything that you want. And this comes in, I'll give you an example. A lot of our land investors like to put a reference number on their direct mail. So that way when the person responds, they just respond with a reference number. Well, they go in and build out a custom field for it, and it seamlessly integrates into all of their direct mail marketing. So just one example. There are obviously 1,000 different ways to use custom fields, but that would be one of them.
And what they do with that then is, because they added a custom field, when somebody calls in off of their direct mail marketing or whatever marketing they're doing, they reference ID A119. And so that lead comes in, voicemail says A119. The acquisitions person just simply goes in, goes to the search, searches the custom field for record A119, and boom, there it is. They find it very quickly and very easily.
Yep.
Love it.
Makes it simple. The second area of customization I want to talk about is, we call it a workflow. And a workflow in FreedomSoft is a series of statuses that are working together. All right. And so there are statuses already built, but then you can go ahead and build custom workflows. So do you have custom statuses that you like to use? Do you go up to contact attempts 7, 8, 9, or 10 based on your outbound marketing or phone calls, whatever the case? But this was part of the setup that I mentioned early on. Step one is, in the transition, get FreedomSoft ready to go. Part of that process is, what statuses is your team currently accustomed to using? And we can build those statuses in so that when you transition over to FreedomSoft, the verbiage doesn't have to change.
Right.
Right? Just because our status, and we likely have statuses for the ones that operators are using, but we may not word it exactly the same. So you can make it exactly the same so that when you roll over, your team isn't having to do mental gymnastics on, okay, we used to call this status this, but now it's called this. No, it's the exact same status.
And so Mike, I love that. I love it. Here's why it matters. It matters because operators are afraid, or their teams are afraid to push buttons sometimes and to trigger automation sometimes. And so this comes back to a FreedomSoft flag in the top of the hill, like something that we'll stick our flag in, and that is organize before you automate. So the basis of automation in FreedomSoft is built around workflows. When status is updated, trigger X automation. And so what we always tell people to do is, if you get really clear on the organization of your lists, campaigns, workspaces, lead statuses, and the organization takes hold and permeates through your organization first, then you can go and you can layer and build intelligent, simple automation that everybody understands on top of it. See, automation should not be complicated. Automation should not be doing 8 million things inside of your business every single month. Automation should be used to leverage technology to produce the results you want. And there are some key lever points inside of designing a system and technology in order to trigger automation. And so organize before you automate. And again, to your number one, the ease of transition, when we look at someone's existing structure and we bring it into FreedomSoft, we work with their team to say, let's plant this flag on the top of the hill and say, let's get everything organized. And if it's organized first, when we layer on the automation, you're going to know exactly what's going on in your business at all times. So I just wanted to add that because I love that. And you're right. Operators love full customization, and they love it for those reasons you're talking about, custom fields, workflows. And I think you had one more that I see here, kind of scribbled notes here, templates and documents. But
yeah, a couple more templates and documents.
I'll let you run on it.
Yeah. So direct mail templates. You come into FreedomSoft and say, hey, I love the direct mail system, but I've got this killer template that I want to keep running with. Fantastic. You can build it inside FreedomSoft quickly. You can import it and use it that way as one example. Email templates. A lot of operators have stock emails because there are similar messages that are getting fired out, either to team members, to title companies, that kind of thing. So email templates can be built out so you don't have to recreate the wheel every time. And then one of my favorite features in FreedomSoft is the contract and document generator. So we don't just call it a document generator, because it's not just a document generator. You can generate any contract that's relevant to your business, all right? And you can build it inside of FreedomSoft, or you can import it. And across all the operators I've ever talked to, nobody's running on the same paperwork. Everybody has their own version.
Right.
And then depending on how many states they're in, they might have multiple versions of the same contract. And, here's our contract for Missouri, here's our contract for Texas, whatever the case. And then, all the assignment agreements, they have similarities, but they're slightly different. Some operators are doing construction. They have things like lien waivers and that kind of thing. Any relevant document to your business can be brought into FreedomSoft. It can be internally generated, and then you can send it out for electronic signature using the electronic signature feature. So to dial in the paperwork and to have that set up so that not only can you generate any document, but you can generate it quickly, you can get it out for signature in a very short amount of time. That's a big deal because obviously, we're talking about the commodity of real estate, but there's paperwork involved in transactions.
Yeah, teams love it. Teams love the document generator to the e-signature, and then automatically attaching that signed document with the full document signature audit right back to the lead record. So, you as the business owner, you're never like, hey team, where's the paperwork for this? Hey team, where's this? Go download it from there and upload it into here and attach it to the lead record. all happens automatically. So owner operators love that. Lead managers love that because notoriously, acquisitions people and dispositions people, the sales people on your crews, they're not known for following systems and processes and checklists and doing the thing that they're supposed to do, like download this signed agreement out of DocuSign and then upload it over here. And the reason operators and lead managers and acquisitions team leads love this is because it just happens seamlessly behind the scenes. You log into the lead record, you go to the attachments, and boom, there's all the paperwork. Beautiful, beautiful thing. So, Mike, I'm going to throw down on number 6.
Yep.
And I'm going to throw down the native mobile apps. So not only, so we hear this a lot, not just a mobile version of the software, but a native mobile app. Go to the App Store, iPhone, Android, and download from the App Store or from the Google Play the FreedomSoft app. And what the FreedomSoft app is designed to do is put you in the field and make sure that inbound leads, conversations you need to have, text messages, phone calls, voicemails, status updates, tasks, all of this stuff is right there and at your fingertips so that you have quick and easy access to it. And so we hear it quite a bit. It's a pretty simple one. I don't know that there's a ton more to say about it other than, all of your entire team can download the mobile app, have it on their iPhone, Android, Samsung, whatever phone, and if you then turn on and create call automations, calls will automatically live call route. They'll ring in your desktop computer. It'll ring right on your cell phone, and you can answer it just like you're answering your cell phone, have a conversation, record everything, and then update the lead, update the status, add a task, put in notes, do all of the stuff you need to do live and in the field. Acquisitions guys love it too because they can go be ready for a conversation and to meet with a seller, and they can see a new lead come in and they can immediately jump on it, call them back, handle what they have to do. They don't have to run back to their laptop, get back into the CRM, try to do the thing. It's right there on their phone and natively, seamlessly simple.
Yeah, in my mind, the app's about speed to lead, and it does other things. Don't get me wrong, but speed to lead is a big deal, not just in real estate, in any industry, right? Faster you can get back to those leads, the higher the likelihood that it turns into a deal. So,
Number 7, Mike, what do you got?
I'm bringing the next one up. Integration with thousands of other apps via Zapier. And Rob, we were talking recently, the amount of inbound and outbound options in FreedomSoft are really leading the industry at the current moment in our space with the ability to plug in and move data in between FreedomSoft and your other preferred apps.
Yep.
Whatever those might be.
Well, you brought it up, right? Zapier is an integration with FreedomSoft. FreedomSoft has the deepest and most robust native integration into the Zapier system that allows FreedomSoft to connect to thousands of other applications. FreedomSoft has the deepest integration of any real estate CRM out there into the Zapier platform. And so whether you're going to trigger something in FreedomSoft and fire an action in another application, or you're going to trigger something in another application and then fire an action inside of FreedomSoft, whether that's creating a new seller lead, creating a new buyer lead, updating a seller lead, updating a buyer lead, whether that is changing a status, updating a status. Like, there's so many deep things, creating a task, so many things that you can do into and out of FreedomSoft with this integration that you can't do with any other real estate CRM software. And that's because we put in the work to build the tools that an operator wants. An operator isn't limited inside of FreedomSoft, whether it's the customization inside, nor are they limited through the connection externally. So that's a good one, Mike. I like it. Number 8, and we've got 9, so we're almost done. Number 8, an all-in-one login. Really simple, but you would be surprised at how many experienced operators, guys running 100, 150, 200 plus deals a year, even more, 300, 500 deals a year, end up just because of technology bloat with 1, 2, 5, 8, 17 different logins to run their business. And what they discover is that they can consolidate many of those things in the FreedomSoft system down to one login. And, the last one that we just talked about, number 7, the integrations, there's still a place that big operators still want to plug into other software. And so that's available. But what most operators find is that inside of the core functions of their business, right? Lead generation, lead management, lead follow-up, team task management, permission control, talking to sellers, talking to buyers, paperwork management, all of the core function of the business can be done within FreedomSoft without ever leaving the application with one login. It makes it simple to go find the data you want to find and see what your team is doing. And so we have guys that will then go, push data out to other boards and other places, and maybe they go do something over there, and they log into that software, and they're like, okay, what's going on here? Well, they come back to FreedomSoft, they log in, and it's simple to connect the dots between different softwares and know where in FreedomSoft do I need to look to get more insight into how's this list performing? How's this marketing campaign doing? How are my team members doing? Are we hitting our KPIs? Are we making offers? Are we doing the stuff that needs to be done? And so all-in-one login.
Yeah, real quick, my experience in that bringing operators over is that on average, they're consolidating 5 to 8 other pieces of technology. And so there's a very real-world cost benefit to coming over to FreedomSoft. But I think even beyond that is the efficiency, the organizational benefit, the fact that nobody on your team has to manage 7, 8, 9 logins.
Yep.
And then the amount of time, energy, and effort spent trying to get even 5 different pieces of software to talk to each other. What you find is the operator or somebody on the team becomes part-time tech support or full-time tech support, trying to keep all this going. And so the efficiency, there's a financial benefit, and then there's an efficiency benefit that happens anytime you clear out, 5 to 9 has been most common, 5 to 8, something like that. So
I love it. So Mike, we're going to let you bring it home. Number 9.
Yep.
What do you got?
Disposition setup.
Ooh.
Right. And I'm just going to tell you visually in FreedomSoft, as the first time you log in, there are different options that work across the dashboard. And in the middle of the screen, there's a leads tab. We've talked about the leads inbox today and listing campaigns, all that good stuff. But then right next to that, there's a properties tab. And there is a very, very real line in the sand between what should be in the leads tab and what should be in the properties tab. And that line in the sand is a fully executed contract. So the way FreedomSoft was set up is if it's not under contract yet, it should be living in the leads tab. As soon as it goes under contract, and there's a default status in FreedomSoft called under contract, and when you apply that to a record and save it, it'll ask you, now that this lead is under contract, do you want to convert it to a property? And you click, basically yes, convert to property, and it'll flip it over to the properties tab. And what we call this is the virtual whiteboard. So Rob, back in 2008, I had a 10-foot long whiteboard in my office here, and I remember the day we went down to the hardware store and we bought those little thin rolls of black tape, and we came back with a yardstick, and we gridded this thing out, and then, we put the tape on there nice and straight, and we had a whiteboard of all of the properties addressed down the left. What's our closing date? What's our inspection deadline? What's our exit strategy? Has escrow been open? And all this stuff that you need to track on the disposition side.
Yep.
Now what we do is we take all that, and that lives in the Properties tab in FreedomSoft. And what you have the ability to do is, just like the real whiteboard that we were running back in '08, you can customize any of those column headers to be whatever you want.
Yeah.
So now, whoever's running dispositions on your team, they go to the Properties tab. They can see the statuses. They can see all the closing dates. They can see estimated revenue. They can see exit strategy. And you're not losing track of anything. It all happens right there. And then as deals close, you just funnel them off the lead, right into a group like, closed deals 2024. And you just start to move them out of the way. But what you're looking at are the deals that are under contract. They have a contract in place. They have an inspection period. They have a deadline. They have a closing date, all this stuff.
Yep.
And so that operator, you mentioned him early on that we brought over, he had somewhere between, I don't remember exactly what Henry told me, 48 properties under contract the day they rolled over to FreedomSoft. So what they did was they brought those in to the Properties tab. The team, the dispositions members of that team had no question, where do I go in FreedomSoft to keep working these deals? Go to the Properties tab. Here they all are. It's the virtual whiteboard.
Yep.
Works beautifully.
Yeah, it works awesome. And I mean, that's a great one to just wrap on, disposition setup. And I will tell you, FreedomSoft has such a solid setup for dispositions. Your dispo guys and your acquisitions guys can be separated, or they can be, kind of merged together. You get to run it how you want to run it. And then with all of the things that we've talked about and we didn't really even talk about like deal analysis and running comps and, the property snapshots, rental comps in non-disclosure states, all of the stuff that a dispositions guy needs to build their buyers list and target specific things. We talked, I think it might have been on a podcast here a while ago. We talked about the shotgun approach to building your buyers list, and then the sniper rifle approach to building your buyers list, and using the buyer match tools in FreedomSoft. Again, we can't even like go into all of this stuff, but like to make disposition simple, FreedomSoft is really, really dialed. So that's a great one to wrap us on, Mike. I love it. Man, I think this was a cool list.
Yeah,
it's a really good list.
Same. It's 9 relevant items for operators in this business.
Yeah.
It's the things that they're thinking about.
Yeah.
And, FreedomSoft covers them.
Yeah. And, when we were talking about this before we hit record, like we could have made this list like 29 things, but we had
13-hour podcast.
Yeah, we had to kind of like bring it down to, okay, like what are the big common things that operators are concerned with, looking for, want a software to do? Because when you're running 200 deals a year, you've got to know that the system's going to work. You've got to know that you can do the things you need it to do, and that it does it well, and that it does it, consistently. A side note as we wrap this up, Mike, is, we publish, FreedomSoft's uptime. You can go to status.freedomsoft.com, and you can go see our uptime report. You can see the speed and latency of the application. Are we fast? Yes. Do we have uptime? Do we crash and go down? No. And it's all public. You can go look. We have spent a lot of time to build the infrastructure of FreedomSoft behind the scenes to make sure that operators close in deals that have their livelihood resting on the use of a tool like FreedomSoft and a system like FreedomSoft gets the best experience. And so status.freedomsoft.com, if you want to go check us out, you can go see our uptime stats and all of that fun stuff. So, I think with that, Mike, let's wrap this one up.
That's a wrap.
It was a fun one. Hope you guys got some value out of this. Look, if you want to work with the team here at FreedomSoft, if you're an operator and you're saying, hey, I think we should at least explore this. Well, get with the team. You can start that by just going to support@freedomsoft.com, and that'll send an email right into our ticket center. That the support team will push you out to our success team, and we'll schedule a live demo with you and show you what this thing is all about. So support@freedomsoft.com, and just say, hey, I'm an operator. I'd love a live one-on-one demo. And then the support team will take you from there and help you and get you into the right hands. So, guys, this is a wrap. Enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Hey, friends, Rob Swanson here. Let me jump in and talk to you really quick about the Real Estate Mogul Academy. You might be sitting back listening to this and saying, how do I get in proximity with these guys? How do I have these kind of conversations, water cooler, hallway conversations every single day to help me go where I want to go in my real estate investing business? Whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro trying to elevate and go to that next step, the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be for you. What we'd like to do is offer you a free strategy session where someone from my team will jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and how the Real Estate Mogul Academy might be the right fit for you. If you're saying to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it, go to mogulmembers.com, fill out your name and your contact information, and let's jump on the phone and let's chat. Let's see if we can help you go where you want to go this year.